keys in our culture. Identity, self-knowledge, self-revelation. That makes all of the study, all of the karma, all of the trials and tribulations worthwhile when you discover who you are. The disappointments, the allurement to poor forever, which is the biggest hoax there is, next to the KKK, that there is a unmasking each one of us must do as we also unmask this distortion about the African in the Western Hemisphere, who is ethnocentrically the Moor. And thank goodness to Ivan van Sertima and the collaboration of several other historians, we now have a wonderful book on Moorish history titled The Golden Age of the Moors. We're going to hopefully try to get it in here. I'm going to do a couple of classes on Moorish history, since this is the wonderful month that your government has given you 28 days to appreciate yourself. Oh, that's deep. You know? 28 days of Negro history. But actually, Carter G. Woodson is mainly responsible for implementing that. And that certainly at that time was very important to acknowledge oneself. And so it's just as, in fact, it's more important now because we know it should be an ongoing thing. We're constantly evolving. And I want you to think in those terms. We are evolving into a perfect being. No matter how slow or fast one goes, that's the inevitable pull of the law of attraction, which is the power of love. And that's the way we have to view our lives when we make an assessment, rather than the little bits and pieces of what we think is such a tragic set of current events as United States American Negro history. That is not your ancient past. That's our predicament. If somebody breaks in your house and tie you up, that's not your history. That's your predicament. Okay. So we're talking about man. Know thyself, and to thine own self be true. And our point of view is that of the original man, the womb man, the woman. And if you have your Bible, turn to Revelations chapter 12. Whoever gets there first, read the first 2 verses there out loud so everyone can hear. Is the camera on, or am I standing here?
Yeah, it's on.
Okay. I'm going to put this word back up here. Now, is the sister here that was supposed to remind me of something? What are you supposed to remind me of?
Black spider.
Huh?
Black spider.
Yes, okay, right. Now, last week we looked at the $1 bill. Is that spelled right? We looked at the $1 bill and we saw the web around the $1 bill. And that gave us a clue to this word here that so many of our folks are using. And there's certainly a tremendous amount of prestige in the idea of the alleged history of the Hebrew people. And of course we know that they were dark-skinned, broad-nosed, thick-lipped, and furrowed hair, just like you. But the correction needs to be made that this is a Greek term, that the African term, and that those were Africans that in the story are the ones that saw Abraham crossing over with how many souls? Anybody remember? 70 souls. 7. Okay. Which is always significant. I'll explain this in a minute. This is, according to Yosef ben Yochanan in Black Man of the Nile, the correct word for Hebrew, haribu. And the translation is the Greek word Hebrew. Then we looked at this anagrammatic construct of Hebrew. This is what we see here when we unravel it. That's the mother, Zuudikius. Anybody find that yet? Is anybody got a Bible beside me? Okay, I didn't hear you read, brother.
And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she being with child cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his head. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, to devour her child as soon as it was born.
Okay, let's stop there so we won't get into too many symbolisms, because the one we're dealing with is the wonder in heaven, okay, which tells us it is a symbol, okay, and we understand the concept of symbology is African. The word for symbology in the ancient tongue is sim, the drawing of a representation of an image on the ground. We recall that Jesus is recorded as being asked a question, and he kneeled down on the ground and wrote something, okay, which again is a tidbit of further evidence that this was an African savior. Okay, there's quite a bit of evidence that the man was black and of African descent. Perhaps during the history segment we'll get into that. The mother Zuudikius. This is an ancient word which has to be classified as legendary until I find a glyph on it. I haven't found that glyph. But in the Greek text, or in the Greek dictionary, the word Zuudikius can be found, which means zodiac. The definition they give for zodiac is circles of animals in the heavens. Well, we know there are no animals in the heavens. So the translation is circles or centers of power is what the universe always represents. When you look up and see those stars, you're seeing real power. Okay? In this symbology, the 12 stars represent the illumined crown chakra. I'm supposed to have this thing here open up on the board here. I'm running my mouth. I've been doing it. There's a verse in Revelations that makes reference to the widow, and it reads so tragically, I don't want to harp on it. In Masonic lore, the Mason is the widow's son. You see, the black widow spider is the insect that lures her mate, gets him to mate with her, to impregnate her, then she kills him. Bites him in the head, so she never has a husband. A dangerous spider. I don't want to get into the psychology of it, but there is a psychology there that unfortunately matches the social problem of the black male, black female. Biting in the head is the power of the mouth, or the power of the spoken word, shattering the brain, shattering the mind. And most of the conflict between black men and black women is the woman's intent to fight back with her words, with her mouth. And interestingly enough, she always gets hit in it. You know, and she's got to find another tack. You know, truly, there is a two-edged sword in your mouth that's sharper than any sword made by a blacksmith. That can cut away a whole life in less than 5 minutes. There are certain things human beings should never say to each other. Should never say to each other. Your words are not forgotten. They live. Thought is a power that occupies both time and space. Thought makes things. Your words are part of your inheritance. The power of the spoken word. We talked about that last time. We're going to deal with it more. Let me get back here. I tend to drift. So we are understanding the esoterica of the mother Zuudikius as the widow, the one who has the apparent ability to produce her child. If you notice in verse 12, she is impregnated with a child. Now we know that's not Jesus and Mary because they're already born, right? This is Yahya, the revelation of John, the beloved, who is seeing something about the divine being, the Christ one, Kres, in the ancient tongue. The indestructible is Kres. Since I'm on that, the concept Christ is not Greek. That's a translation from Christe, or to Christe. Christe comes from the Egyptian word Kres, as Dr. Van Sertima pointed out in his book. The tear bed of the mummified pharaoh in the burial garments, it is not a burial towards death, but a dying of the lesser and a reborn of the higher. It is depicted in Egyptian symbology with the hawk bird with a human head up over the casket, which shows the resurrection of the soul. The risen soul is what Heru means. Heru, Horus, who is Jesus, okay, who is Popeye. Forgot to mention about the eye. That remember that Seth tore out Horus's eye, and he has only one eye. I don't know if any of you have ever had a vision of Jesus. Jesus comes smiling with one eye closed and one eye open. That's Horus, a black man, the one that white folks love. Okay. Charais, K-H-A-R-R-A-S. Everybody got this Hebrew word there written down or something? Do write this down. It's important. Someone complimented you all that were here last Sunday. She said, I've never seen black people take so many notes. That's good. That's good. K-H-A-R-R-A-S. Charais, or Gras. Pronunciation. The difference of pronunciation. Anointed, crowned, and mummified. Mummification is being wrapped in a symbolic tape. When you are maturing in the spirit, you will be and are being wrapped in spirit. The morticians of that school, they would wrap the tape a certain way and distance and then place up under it a spiritual statement and then anoint the statement and then wrap some more, then anoint the statement. Words of power. Haku, magic words of power. Spiritual formulas. Then the initiate would be told to rise after he is initiated and his mouth is open. This one, the medulla oblongata, the mouth of God. Okay? I'm drifting here, but actually we're talking about the same being. The woman is the G-O-D, who gives the blueprint of M-A-N, her son. Remembering that we said the physical body of the female has 12 openings in it. The male body has 7 openings. You can count them when you get home. 9, yes, thank you, excuse me, thank you, yes, 9, right, okay. And we know you can't get 12 out of 9, but you can get 9 out of 12. About that atom and that rib. Okay. So the evidence is there. The African woman, the original woman, there's a duplication of the painting and statue of the multi-breasted woman who is the depiction of Zuudikius in Ivan van Sertima's book, The African Presence in Early Europe. Well, he gives these pictographics of all of these black mother and child images in Italy, France, Germany, and everywhere else but America. And but the one that he photographed is the one of a European face painted black. Mackenzie, who authored the Masonic Encyclopedia, and his artists draw that same physiology with multiple breasts all around it, on it, but the face of the woman is that of a black woman. You know, this white boy revealing the truth, about that original woman. Your mama. I'm trying to find this. I think it's the links here. Look at these. Here's one of them. It's going to roll off. We put this up. We're going to talk about the head. I hope you all are being mindful of the book, The Healing Secrets of the Ages. There's a more in-depth descriptive of the 12 powers and the glands. Now, what's important about that book and this information is that if you're going to do something real with your life, develop your spirituality. I don't care how much money you get, and some of you are going to get rich. Some of you are going to get rich. I'm impressed with the charts I've done. I'm seeing a remarkable group of talented people. It is important to find out what kinds of talents you have. I don't use the word gifts. I'm talking about something you have, you came back here with, and you don't know you got it. Find out who you are. This is to make this journey worthwhile. Because it's been hell down here. And we deserve some recompense. The possibility of the money reparations is very possible for us to get. Very, very possible. It's no longer something interesting to talk about over a cup of coffee. I'm trying to find some tape.
You got some pins on the board.
Oh, okay. Good. Thank you. Let's backtrack a little bit. Go back to Genesis chapter 11. Somebody find that and read for me, starting at verse 2, I think it is. We didn't quite do that thoroughly and correctly. That's a very important little gem of information there. I got to put it down here somewhere. Anybody found it yet? Genesis chapter 11.
And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of
Shinar, yeah.
Shinar.
Is the metaphysical dictionary over there? Did you all get the metaphysical dictionary? No?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I got to get a copy of it, so I want to translate the term Shinar. They came from where? They journeyed from where? From the east. The east is within. The journey is that of the soul coming forward. Okay. Anytime in the Bible you see the word east, it is within. Let me do this too while we're talking about the black man is buried in a shallow grave in the east. I didn't have this little illustration here somewhere. See how well prepared I am. Trying to make sure I don't miss any important factors. No In Masonic lore, the European uses the story of Hiram Abiff to tell about the spiritual man. Hiram Abiff is the master mason who was hired by Solomon to build the temple of God. And after he had collaborated with Solomon on his way back home, he was ambushed by some Persians and killed and then buried in a shallow grave. Okay? They don't point to here. This is the black man in a shallow grave in the east, buried. When the French got there, the sand had covered up the entire body of the Sphinx up to the neck. And then, I'm trying to think of the Pharaoh's name who got the vision to dig it out or uncover it. I can't think of it. I'll leave it alone.
He fell asleep at the feet? Fell asleep at the feet?
No, he was given a vision to uncover it. But we're going to get to this when we get to Wazifa. This is the lion in the desert. The lion of Judah is a symbol of the lion of Ukasa. This black man, that's Leo. The lion in the desert. Okay. I'll tell you who he is when we get to the practice of Wazifa. Because his name is significant, because his name is in every god's name. Okay. The black man is buried in a shallow grave in the east. The north is the top of your head. The south is the bottom of your feet. The west is your back. The east is the front of your body. You are in this body, your body, right behind your sternum bone. Somewhere in there, hiding, buried, which does not mean dead or gone. You bury treasures. Dogs bury bones. Put away. Hidden. That's the concept about being buried in a shallow grave in the east. So make sure I got that in. That's significant because that is the diamond in the rough. That's the jewel you're really trying to get to. That's the diamond, brother, the sister really wants. Even though she wants you to put several on her finger, that's the one she really wants. So, the 12 powers of man is depicted most accurately in the 12 glandular neuron centers in the female body that she gives to her son. She makes what the Masons say, Mother created me in 9 months in a solar system of 9 planets in a circle of 360 degrees. 3 and 6 is 9. So that we understand the geometry of God, the divine, what's called divine numeration in metaphysics, and understanding the order of the universe, that we are replicas of the universe. And look at the word so we know again what we're talking about when we say universe. That's universe. One statement, one word, one thought. The universe is mental. And the law of mentalism in the Kibali. We live in the mind of God. Paul, we live, move, and have our being in Him. Well, we actually live and move and have our being in her. It is important to understand nature. not the problem of the political difference between a patriotic society and a matriarchal society, but to understand the nature, because we are both male and female, made he them. But socio-culturally, for us as a people, we must give back the honor and the respect of the black woman if we are to succeed in anything. You can't abuse the first symbol of love and expect God to reward you. That don't work. Like Van Sertima said, that won't fly. Love is our key and our atonement and our karma. We have lost because we ceased to love each other as well as the rest of those that were put under our custodialship. Most of us don't know that we were dealing in slavery in Europe, white slavery, carrying Europeans into Africa. That wasn't the first venture of the African. He was coming into Europe to set the Slavs free. And in the 10th century, he reversed it, and he reversed our karma. You see? What we need to understand, it's not this white boy that has bested the black man. He violated his spiritual commission. His right of authority was confiscated. His right as master and master teacher was confiscated. We lost everything, including the right to be called a human being in the Western Hemisphere. No other people have fallen that low except us. But the potential to unfold as the divine family is our major project. Our major project. That's our real revolution. Okay, in understanding the 12 powers of man and the mental universe, we then understand that the universe is governed by mind and is governed by the thought in mind, by the imagery in mind. Here is where Genesis chapter 11 plays a very important part. Genesis 11, I think, verse 5. Who's got that? Somebody just start reading.
And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of men built. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do.
Right there. Stop right there. Which they have what?
Imagine.
Okay. That's your key, your biggest key. This side of the brain. It is what you have evolved the highest on this planet. How do we know that? Go back to your history and your art as an ancient people. The finest art on the planet. The creative impetus of the mind of man is exaggerated in Africa, is exaggerated in Afrocentric art and culture. Not only did the African utilize the wondrous principles of art, but he embedded in that art mathematics, astronomy, agriculture. Every aspect of human culture is found, presented by the African, from the theme of art. Look at the word art. Or the arts, I guess is probably the best way. Okay. A people of knowledge, a people of wisdom, a people of power. That's your real status. Those are the records of your past. That's what we're looking for. We're not looking for his story. The records of your past is in the back of your head, in the subconscious realm of both your minds and the collective mind in which we live, move, and have our being. The physical body is governed by the subconscious. By awakening your subconscious, stimulating your glands. You open the doorways, the gates, which brings us to Revelation 18. I don't want to say 7, because I think that's where the widow is. You're going to say 18:7. Turn to Revelations 18. That's the verse. Okay, Revelations 21:11. Revelations 21:11. Whoever gets there first, start reading. Doesn't matter who it is. You got it. 21:11. Got it? Revelations 21:11.
Having the glory of God, and her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal. And had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel.
Okay, go back and read that again.
And had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel.
Okay, let's stop right there. 12 tribes of the children of Israel. Let me see what mine says. But we have the same Bible. Because there's one where it says the 12 apostles of the Lamb. Okay, and one verse. So that'll do. The 12 tribes of Israel is given in Genesis as the 12 signs of the zodiac. And there's a brief synopsis or description of each sun, which represents each birth sign. The 12 apostles becomes the esoteric of that exoteric. In other words, each apostle represents one of the 12 glands in the spiritual body of man. Israel, Israel, represents the powers of God, the inherited powers of God. Isis, Ra, Israel, the powers of God. Female, male, God. Okay. Okay. The power of the throat chakra is the one we were talking about before, and yesterday. I keep thinking yesterday. Well, it seems like yesterday. It is the power of the throat chakra is Philip, which means lover of horses. The concept of horse and horsepower is a metaphysical concept as well as a secular one in terms of the car. Anytime you see the word horse in the Bible, it means power. James the Lesser and James the Greater. James the Lesser is understanding. What do I do with that? And James the Greater is understanding, and James the Greater is wisdom. Wisdom is the faculty at the bottom inside of your stomach. There's a ganglion center at the bottom or base of your stomach. When you put garbage in there, you hurt or stimulate or disrupt the order of that center. In your spiritual makeup, your 12 glands are interconnected by the spiritual tape or cords, which is the kundalini of your spiritual nature, so that they're all interconnected or the circuits are set up so they can function harmoniously. Right now, they are scattered over the face of the whole earth. Genesis chapter 11, verses 4. I should have had him read verse 4. So, in this resurrection, as John, the forerunner, deceases and Christ rises or ascends, I must decrease, John says in John chapter 1, and he must increase. The physical body is the John as the forerunner. The Christ nature is the Christ that must increase. Okay. Literally speaking, you're supposed to be becoming God. G-O-D. Not the creator. I was talking to a brother last night. And, Elijah Muhammad should have explained the difference between G-O-D and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the concept of creator. They're not the same. G-O-D is generator, your brain. O, operator, your soul. D, destroyer, your sacral vertebrae, where the powers of the Kundalini is, the power of destruction, the power that destroys fear, ignorance, darkness, disease, and poverty. You already have it.
Could you go over that again?
This is the third time I'm going. What do you mean going? You'll hear it again. I'm discovering you need to bring things back, okay? But one day, I'm going to come in and hand you a piece of paper. Test time. It isn't called a test in Moorish science. It's called a Moorish inquiry. Just so you can find out how much you can recall. When you hear someone speak, what I've said is already in your memory banks. Can you recall it when you need it? That's what a test is supposed to tell a student, not if he can get an A. Yeah? Okay. G, generator, your brain, is a battery full of electricity, full of power. O is the soul, the operator that moves you around on this plane. How you navigate more is from your soul level. Very, very important. As I was talking to a brother yesterday about right or divine guidance. There's no greater blessing than to be rightly guided down here. It keeps you out of the way of harm and puts you in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. Brother, a master teacher, told me, a wise man is where trouble is not. Very important. Death is going to be going on 24/7. As we sit here, somebody is dying. That isn't the tragedy. The tragedy is that that person did not discover who they are, or did they? It's a real question, not that they died. We're all going to drop the body. The problem is sudden death. Walk outside and get run over by a bus. You get up, look around, wow, what happened? You start to go home. You go and knock on your door. Nobody answers because you walk around in an astral body, thrown out of the body. That's tragic. The angel of death may not even have had anything to do with that. Jeremiah talks about dying before your time. Yes, you can. Yes. By being ignorant. Ignorance makes you a victim of Mother Earth, who takes your body and uses it for stuff for the food of the earth, to replenish it, the earth. She's impersonal about your physiology. Chew you up and spit you out. And keep on going. Yeah. Don't be ignorant down here. For goodness sake. Okay, did I get off there? Okay, did we deal with that Genesis I just mentioned? Or was I reiterating? Okay, the destroyer in sacral vertebrae. The word sacral and sacerdotal comes from the same root word that sacred comes from. When you hear someone talking about something being sacred, what they mean is secret. That's what sacred is. The Holy of Holies, the most sacred of us. Oh, you cannot go beyond the Holy of Holies. No, you ain't got no privileges, is what he's telling you. Something back there they don't want you to see it. They don't want you to know. You know, okay? So we're here in heaven with, I want to deal with the faculty of wisdom, not will. Will power comes later, but we need to work on love and on wisdom. The solar plexus is the place of the stomach, and this area is the place of wisdom. Your feeling nature can be, and we're going to work on this today in meditation. I got some goodies for you. Right here on the sun area, the solar plexus. This is On, the city of the sun, in Isaiah chapter 19. On, or Anu. On is supposed to be the Hebrew pronunciation of Anu, the city of the sun. A-N-N-U or A-N-U, either one. But spiritually, it is the center of your nature, where the seat of wisdom is. There is a light in here, folks, a spiritual light in this area that generates energy. Cancer can tell you all about the tragic pains in the stomach. They take everything in the stomach while Leo takes it in the heart. That means your feeling nature is awake in your solar plexus, Cancer. That is intuitive. Your spirit can show you something from here. You see, when you get your divine mind hooked up. You are a spiritual being. The point, in fact, all of your nature is spiritual. There is no difference between your astral body and your physical body. There's no difference between your astral body and your causal body. And your body of light. You're a spiritual being. You need contact and unification. If you ever wanted to do any integrating, integrate those three so that you can be M-A-N, master, able, and noble, to become G-O-D. Very, very important. In the seat of the stomach, what we're trying to do, or we're supposed to be trying to do, we're doing it with thought as well. Understand that. So it's a little bitty group of nerves. Ganglion meaning gang or collection or accumulation or group or tribe of nerve endings. Very sensitive, except if you eat bad food. You lose the sensitivity of your wisdom center. It's sour food as well. The Cancerian worries in the solar plexus. They're very sensitive there. Virgos, very sensitive in their abdominal region. They usually are naturally cautious about the foods they eat, because they can feel in here, which means their stomach is intelligent. I'm talking real wisdom will come from within your solar plexus that can interrelate with the proper neuron transmitters, with your brain, with your heart, your crown center, your super conscious mind. They're all at that spiritual level of development, interconnected. The sons of wise kings. King means authority. So when you're given and you get your spiritual crown, you then have the authority of a spiritual master, king. Queen means soul, power. Mama's deep. But every one of us is a soul. How do we sense that in the world? Easy. Our children. You call one of your girlfriends or buddies and little baby picks up the phone.
Hello?
Oh, hi there, Frank. Or Jane.
My name ain't Jane, I'm a boy.
You can't even tell that it's a man. Human nature begins in the feminine and develops to the masculine. All things begin in the negation, the negative. That does not mean negative. a word that gives people a lot of trouble when you talk about women are negative. That's the magnetic power of electricity. The electromagnetic principle is the negative. While we're on that, I don't have any flags. So this number here, 0, which is not 0, cipher is not cipher, is Zara, the ancient word for 0, where the word 0 comes from, is black. None of the numerologists on the market tell you that 0 represents black. None of them. Including Strayhorn. He didn't even do it. I don't know why he didn't. But in more science you find that all things emanate from black. 0, the primal substance of all things. Matter, Latin. Matter. This means mother in Latin. Okay. From the construct of matter is the word matter. It's the word mother. Okay. The primal substance of all things. Out of the darkness cometh the light. And it should, I guess, read, out of the blackness comes the light. That's the way things are. We are psychologically yet embarrassed by being black. It's amazing. In 1993, Africans in America, the sleeping more, the unconscious more, does not gain enough information to appreciate him or herself in the mirror. That's unfortunate because that's an illusion. It's an illusion. But the information needs to be brought forward to be able to advance, step forward, and identify yourself. You have to do that for yourself. This concept, moros, mar, it's in every language, has and carries with it an aura of prestige. When you wear it in your consciousness, you can feel it. It's something. It changes your perspective about yourself. And each human being needs prestige. Each human being needs to feel good about themselves. The first, only experience I'd ever had one day was sitting around. I took my hand and I rubbed my head like that. And my hair felt good. It felt good, you know. Because I had a better perspective about who I am. I remember Mama Coleman saying, "Be still, boy, all these damn knots in your head." And a lot of mothers have given that old-fashioned complex to their daughters just by being ignorant, not knowing it, and combing African hair with the European comb. You know, I mean, the victim. The thing is, we need not to do not blame the victim for being a victim. And we need to understand that though it is karmic, our parents were duped. You know, I mean, this thing of not being able to find any information about who you are, it is no accident. This is one of the most well-performed conspiracies on the planet itself. You know? Oh, they did a marvelous job of lying. You know? When Chancellor Williams got to the British Museum and he looked in there and saw all of this artifice from Egypt, he said he almost fainted. You know? They took whole buildings down, from the ceiling, the pillars, and the floor, and carried them to England. You know, they love y'all. You know? Worship the ground you walk on. You know, but they understood the valuableness of your history, the valuableness of your artwork, of your artifice. Deleuze spent all of his life studying black folks. He told his daughter on his deathbed, he says, "Oh, I spent all my life studying this wonderful history. Didn't get illuminated." So fascinated by the African. Wallace Budge, out of his 90-some-odd years, 60 years of his life, he spent studying black folks. You know. They used to have parties in England when they found some tombs. They had parties. White people walking around, "Oh, I just remembered I'm reincarnated from Egypt." It was deep, you know. They became us overnight. But it was so wonderful what they found that they couldn't possibly believe that the people in their kitchen, now in those shabby houses, were the authors of almost a perfect culture. Except those who knew it, it would tell. So they had to trick them and us. Then they had to make sure that when they miseducated them, that they would miseducate their children, so their children would I mean, they just keep lying and lying and lying. And we got the worst of it because we believed it. And if you believe a lie, there's no room in your mind for the truth. The Negro is nothing. He never created anything or invented anything. He never did anything in history. Those people are nothing. KKK. It's deep, man. Really deep. So in wisdom we gain knowledge and understanding. We gain power. Power. Understand that wisdom is power. Wisdom has a substance. It's already in your spiritual body. You're trying to get the gate open. One of and all 12 of these gates you want to get open. Let's go back to Revelations 21. And let's look at the 12 gates and some other 12s there. Anybody found it yet? These are physical, the gates. Those are your ganglionic centers. These are spiritual. Those are those centers in their astral form when they are quickened and illumined, lit up. The stones are your... Where's mine? Some of you all see the chart. Some of you haven't. For all this stuff.
Charts on the floor.
I don't see it here. didn't bring it. I got a chart here of the spiritual body. The 12 stones represent the 12 birthstones that most of us along the way find out about. Those are the illumined glands in their spiritual form. In other words, you have 12 physical glands. You also have 12 spiritual glands in the causal body. There's a illustration of the spiritual man here, then there's one here, then there's one there. Okay? Understanding the law of correspondence, we understand as above, so below, that whatever you see on the outside is also on the inside. Whatever you see on the inside is also on the outside. That's the law of correspondence, which takes us right back to the Kybalion. There it is. Good. Thank you. Thank you much.
Are the pearls related to the various chakras in your mind?
No. Those are your glands. We're
Okay.
talking about the 12 glands, not the chakras.
Okay.
Thank you for mentioning that, though. Thank you very much. Oh, upside down. This is an illustration of the chakras, but in red here, they show the places of the glands. Okay. Did you find it, 21, chapter 20, Revelation 21? Okay. You remember where he left off? I see the brother in the blue sweater shaking his head there.
On the east, 3 gates. On the north, 3 gates. On the south, 3 gates. And on the west, 3 gates. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations. And in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb.
Right, there it is there. Yeah, okay.
It's going to be west.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Right. The 4 directions, the 4 cardinal points. 3 signs of each. 3 water signs, 3 earth signs, 3 fire signs, 3 air signs. That gives you your triune angle of energy. Okay, and the corresponding aspect of those energies, air and fire, earth and water. Those are your 12 signs and your 12 powers. Each sign governs a part of the body. In that part of the body that sign governs is found the gland. We'll take a look at that when we get into the glands and the planets. Glands and the planets. Trying to remember if I missed anything in that particular chapter. Keep checking the time here. 5:15. Because we're going to do about 20 minutes of meditation. And I got 2 methods, so I don't want to lose out on the time factor. The law of correspondence, as above, so below. Almost right from that point. You can almost say, who wears that? What? No. That didn't make it right. Yeah, okay. I was trying to make it almost like the. No, it's not the witch's hat, but that's part of it. Who wears this badge? That's what I should have asked. Yeah. Who else wears it? No, as a badge.
The police.
Which ones?
Sheriffs.
Who else?
Marshal.
And who else?
Fire.
State troopers. This is take out $1. Turn it on the back side. Look up in the right-hand corner, up over the eagle's head. What do you see? All right. That's the law of correspondence. As above, so below. As within, so without. As without, so within. When you get power of the Spirit from the Spirit, you have power in heaven, which is in mind, as well as power on the earth, which is in body. Very important to understand that, because the power you're receiving is not to rule somebody else, it's to rule yourself. To heal yourself. To master yourself. To transform yourself. That's what power is for. Then, go heal someone else. If you need a patient, it is you. If you need some pupils, you got them. If you want to do any teaching, work on you. That's your goal. You are your own responsibility. The greatest, most important person you'll ever meet down here is you. You must save you. Even the sister that goes to church is saving herself. But there's so much more that you can do besides go to church. I don't knock church. I'm glad it's there, because it's a God send and a God save for black folks. The church is an intricate part of our predicament in the Western Hemisphere. We are, most assuredly, as history relates, a spiritual people. Religion is the beginning of spirituality. Unfortunately, it appears it's becoming interference. Until that reverend finds out more, or lets folks know he knows more, one or the other. Some of them short-stepping. Some of them do know, and they're not telling. I don't want to get into that. I'm getting all off here. Okay. Just want to point that out.